The 2024 Summer League has ended for the Portland Trail Blazers. They finished the session 3-2 with a win Sunday night over the Houston Rockets. And we're going to break it all down here on the Blazer Focus podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress, and he is a giggling Craig Birnbach. Wait, you don't think we're going to break it all down?
I mean, like, breaking down Summer League after, even post not making the tournament of Summer League? Come on, man. That is real break. I mean, it's real broke.
You got to feel the hype. You got to embrace the hype, all right?
Yep. I'm on it.
Okay, good. All right. Well, hey, they had a decent session. I thought it was decent. I thought it was entertaining watching Clingan for 4 games. He didn't play in the 5th game. So let's just jump right into it. We don't care. Like, wins and losses don't matter. How the team performed doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. Like I keep telling people, the team won the championship 2 years ago. No one's still around from that team. So I don't think. So it doesn't really matter. What matters are the individuals who are on the court and what we see from them and how maybe they can help the Blazers in the near future or down the road. So let's just start. Donovan Clingan, give me a grade and your initial assessment.
I'll give him a B. I mean, he's big. And he plays defense. He's got good energy. As we talked about before, he's got some edge to him. The moments that I'll remember that matter to me are the 5-second violation and how he just jumped around like crazy to win a Summer League game, got a 5-second violation on the defensive end, which led to a victory, and how pumped he was about that. Like, that shows to me this guy, obviously with 2 national championships, winning is in his DNA. He is the real, deal defensively. Like, he's something to be reckoned with. Not sure how exactly that will relate right away in the NBA, because again, this is Summer League. He didn't go against many bigs that have the same size and strength and definitely skill that he will when he plays in the regular season. Offensively, it was not great, but we didn't expect it to be great because, as I mentioned over and over again, if his offensive skills were better, he would have been the number 1 overall pick. He wouldn't have gone 7th. I mean, so it would have been nice to see him look smoother here and there on the offensive end. But if you draft what you expect to be a defensive center, and in his Summer League action, he's the best defensive center in Summer League, you got to feel pretty good. So, B. You?
Okay. I think everything you said is 100% fair. I actually kind of wrote that already in my Summer League review that I'll post later today on OregonLive.com. But I'm going to go ahead and split the grade because I do think there's 2 things in play here. And I'm going to give him a B+ for defense and rebounding, which I think is a pretty high grade. Not quite an A. I don't know if I give him an A, but B+. But I'm going to give him a C- for offense, which brings us to a B. Drum roll, please. A B. Yeah. But, I'm just going to have fun with it. So 12.3 rebounds led the league. 4.3 blocks ended up being 2nd. Those are impressive numbers regardless. And he looked good doing it. Like, he was aggressive on the boards, which I love to see. He was definitely hunting for shooters. If you had the ball and you ventured anywhere near the basket, even if you were on the other side of the lane, he's coming over to contest. He was moving quickly to try and get in position to contest shots all over the court, which shows that he cares about being a good defensive player. And we all know there's just some guys in the NBA who just don't care. They do the thing where they take one step to you and they stick the arm out. Right. You see that a lot. LeBron does that a lot these days, and he's 40, so I give him a break. But that's not playing defense. Donovan's on you, right? So that was great to see. And it's a summer league, and he wanted to, put his best foot forward for the team that drafted him. And like you said, he just won a national title, and he didn't play like some guy coming off of 2 national titles. He played like some guy who was competing and wanted to win games. And like you said, that 5-second call situation was amazing. And it was scary. Like, I was putting myself in the shoes of the inbounding guy. I think of a 7'2" guy jumping around doing all that stuff. It's like Alien coming at you from the Alien movies or something. But very impressive. Offensively, though, look, man, the only reason why I'm going to nitpick on this is because they told us he was better offensively than he was at UConn. That's what they told us. And if the coach and GM are going to tell us that, then we need to see it. And if we don't see it, Then we got nitpick at it. 35.7% from the field at 9 points per game. And here's the thing. It's one thing that he was 3 of 13 on threes, 23%, whatever. Dude was 12 of 29 on 2-point attempts.
Yeah, the overall percentage for a 7'2" guy, you can't get much worse.
Yeah, 41% on 2-point attempts. And for a 7-foot guy, given you're going to get some putbacks. Now, is it a huge deal? No, because he's young, he's developing, and if Aiden stays on the team, you're going to start Aiden. He's going to give you offense, and then Clingan's going to come in and give you defense. You're not going to ask him to give you offense. You're not going to give him a bunch of plays where he's shooting a lot of shots, so it's not going to matter. But for him to become a true, legitimate starting center, he has to obviously become better on offense, or people are going to become frustrated with him like they were with Nurkic in terms of his inconsistency. And obviously his numbers were way better than this. So if he's going to be great, or at least close to great, or at least a legitimate starter who plays over 30 minutes for a playoff team, clearly he has a long way to go offensively.
Yeah, those numbers are terrible. I mean, there's no way around it.
I tried to sugarcoat it. It's terrible.
Well, you can't shoot 41% from two if you're 7'2". I mean, you can't. Those are guard numbers. And those are guard numbers that are only acceptable when you score 20 a game, but again, it's summer league. He's not playing with the guards that he's going to play with. He's going to get, dunks from pick and rolls and other things that you're not going to get in summer league because these guys they're not, NBA guards, or if they are, they're fringe NBA guards that are trying to show out and score. I mean, you saw the leading scorers for the Blazers are both they're both guys that have played in the NBA, but on fringe, they've gotten time, but they're not solidified. So they're going to score as much as they can. I mean, McGowens in 20 minutes scored 16 points a game. He shot 39%, but he shot it a lot. And I'm not going to, and we know they could have said whatever they want. Here's the thing. Sure, saying he's better defensively than at UConn is an easy thing to say when he's won 2 national championships and he was their defensive anchor who dunked a lot. But the part that nitpicks is the threes, because we saw him shoot them, and we're not scouts or coaches or shooting, gurus, but anyone could look at that and say, oh, that's not smooth. You know what I mean? It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, no, he's not there yet.
It wasn't like a Dirk or a Chet Holmgren, tall, long shooters, he
looked uncomfortable. Right, who
looked like shooters,
And it was a reason why his best, he went 2 for 7 and people were like, yay, that was, so that was a little disappointing because you would like to have seen it look a little better. But again, if that looked better, progress. Well, if that looked better, he would have gone 1 overall. You know what I mean? To me, that's simple. Right.
100%.
If what they're saying was true, he wouldn't have fallen to 7. We saw the guy who went 1 overall at 7 feet tall go 0 for 15.
That was 2. That was Sarr. Sarr went 2.
2. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
2 overall.
The other French guy went 1.
Yeah. Sorry. He went over 15. So it wouldn't take him much. But that's what this is about. My guess is he's not gonna miss every shot he ever takes, and Clingan's gonna get better offensively. And right now, if he plays 25, 30 minutes a game, something happened, something went wrong, or you traded Ayton. There's not 30 minutes for him on the court. So he's all about 3 years down the road, like so much of what the Blazers are doing right now.
Yep. All right, Kris Murray. I know we're both disappointed in Mr. Murray. He did end the session with a 20-point performance.
20 in a game that nobody played.
Sorry, I had 20 game performance. Yeah, I'm reading my own text there. 20-point performance.
The last game.
On Sunday, he shot 5 of 13 from the field, which, it's right under 40%, but 5 for 13. Like, if he makes one more shot, that's obviously a much better looking number. But the bottom line is on the session, dude. On the session, 39.6% shooting for 6.1 points, 27% from beyond the arc. And what's disappointing is that he's about to turn 24 in about 3 weeks. And he played 62 NBA games last season. Like, if you're 24 with that much college experience and you played 62 NBA games, you should slice and dice through the summer league.
Yep.
Like, it shouldn't be an issue at all that you can get shots, make shots, look confident, and look like you're head and shoulders above most of the competition, because most of the competition is either rookies and or second round rookies and or undrafted free agents from last year or this year trying to hang on. You should be crushing those players. Agreed?
Yeah. I mean, we talked after 3 games and I was disappointed. He had a terrible game 4 when Clingan was still playing, and, they were awful in game 4. And then game 5, and the game where Clingan sits, he scores 20 because he shot more than anyone. He played more minutes. But here's the thing, like, the fact that he played game 5 in Summer League, that's not good, for where he is. Like, he's the guy you hope 4 games, he's averaging 20 points a game. They're like, yeah, you're good, don't get hurt. But they're like, no, you go, do something. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's Summer League. So as I say, putting too much into it can, end up making you look stupid. But you can't walk away and say, oh, this is good. This was good for Kris Murray. It wasn't. Nobody looked at that guy and said, oh, he's a rotation player in the regular season, which hurts you in multiple ways if you're the Blazers. One, he's a first-round draft pick, and it doesn't look like he's going to be a rotation player on a good team. And 2, it doesn't look like he's going to get you anything. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, I want that guy because I see a future.
Right.
Yeah, there was not much to like about, his game. And the other thing is, you didn't notice he was on the court. And that is every first-round draft pick that's playing in Summer League, you should know. Like, oh, that guy looks different. And he did not look different.
So, for example,
I mean, even Sarr, he went over 15. You saw him, like, it was bad, but you're like, oh, what's going on, right? There was some reason to have your attention on that. And there wasn't any reason to be paying attention to Kris Murray, except in the last game.
Right. So here's a comp. So Jaime Jaquez? Is it Jaquez? It's Jaquez, right? Miami kid?
Sure.
the Miami
kid, the guy from UCLA.
Yeah. He, second year guy, he was the 18th pick, 5 ahead of Murray. He just lit it up. Now, he was starting in the NBA, so clearly
he looked great in the NBA.
Right, but I'm just saying, though, that he went into Summer League and just destroyed. Now, you can argue, well, Murray shouldn't be expected to do the exact same thing, but when you look at Jaime going there and do, let's see, he averaged 26 points on 58% shooting and shot 43% on threes with 8 rebounds, 3.5 assists. Like, he's just dominated. He looked right. He's too good. He shouldn't be there. None of us are saying that we wanted to see that necessarily from Murray exactly,
no,
but
I'll say it. I want to see that.
Well, but can I get 17 points, 45% shooting, and 37% on threes? Can I get that? Because we were told he was a lottery talent. And so right now it's like, yeah, we're not seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good.
Bad.
Like I said, doesn't mean he can't change people's minds and we're wrong. But what we've seen of Kris Murray is he's a first-round draft pick that's not going to be impactful to your team. And that's a miss. I mean, boom. It's that simple. You thought he should play in Summer League. Like, already, that's like first round pick from last year, they don't often play in summer league, especially when you're older and you've played more college and everything like that. But yeah, the good comp because, the Miami kid played a ton of college basketball and they still wanted him to play summer league. And he was like, okay, I'm way better than all of you. I'm just going to show out.
And I'm going to dominate.
I do this everywhere, and this is why I'm a rotation player. And Kris Murray got outplayed by two-way players that will be, spent as much time in the G League as they did on NBA roster. And he's already been a two-way guy in the sense that he played for the G League. And, he's a forward, so, on a summer league team, like you should score. You don't need any help. Get the ball. You play 30 minutes plus a game and get fouled. Like, go to the rim, shoot a three and make it. And he didn't do any of that.
All right, let's quit picking on Kris.
Yeah,
because I like Kris. He's a good kid.
Yeah, and everyone says he's got basketball IQ, off the charts. He does everything right. And maybe that was to his detriment, right? That he wanted to stay within the system in summer league. Now, someone should have told him, don't.
Yeah. Okay, next guy of importance, Rayan Rupert, second-year forward. Just like Murray, he was picked in the second round last year. Now, he came into the league with questionable shooting numbers. I remember when they drafted him, and I was thinking, interesting. Let's check out his numbers. And I looked him up from wherever he was playing, I guess France, and they were horrible. How is this guy, even being drafted at all? And then Cronin said they had a first round, a lottery grade on him. Remember that?
Yeah, well,
I know GMs say stuff, but you don't say things like that because you put a target on the kid and everyone wants to see it. So, to his credit, his shooting numbers last year in the NBA were better than they were overseas. So that's a good sign. But clearly, still not a shooter. But he's only 20,
right,
as opposed to Murray, who's about to turn 24. In the summer session, he shot 41.4% from the field, averaging 12 points per game. He did, as far as I was concerned, seem more confident, more aggressive, had a greater mix of moves and shots to create buckets, right? So I did see a better player, which is what you'd expect from last summer going through G League and playing, he played 30-something games in the NBA, something like that. So I think, it's disappointing just like with Murray, but less so because he's younger.
He played 39 games, averaged 16 minutes, started 12.
Right. And he played G League. So you would expect growth from last summer from what we saw. And I think we saw that. It wasn't a huge leap, but he's still only 20. Right. So I think for him, so Murray, we're both giving him a C-, D.
Yeah, C- to be nice.
I feel bad saying that. Anyway, whatever. These are pros, right? They're making millions. Rupert, I'm going to give him a C because there was some incremental growth there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just night and day when you're talking about Murray and Rupert because they could say he had a lottery talent. Well, he went in the second round, so he didn't. You're not that different. I mean, if you're that different as a front office, then there's something really weird about you. So You could say that. Murray was drafted in the first round, 23rd overall. That's a guy and he's 23. Rupert was 19, teenager, played in France, second round pick. The expectations are just not the same. So for him, he didn't look good. He shot 23% from three. So that's not great, but he looked like he was the aggressive part is what I mean. Like when he's on the court, he played, and averaged 12 and was not embarrassing, right? As well he shouldn't be as an NBA player, but I didn't look at him and go like, oh wow, like that's another step. What it was not a step backwards in a way. Right. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here. I'll give him a C. Sure. Fine. You passed. And good luck, Blazers, thinking Rayan Rupert is going to be your future. You got 2 more years to see, right? Like in he's 22 and he's still, and he hasn't taken huge steps, bye-bye. If not before, you know what I mean? Like, if not before.
You're being so harsh. Come
I'm
on.
not being harsh. He played fine. But, like, we're evaluating Summer League, which is already something that we don't even know what the Blazers were trying to find out from him. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't obvious. Like, sometimes you know, like, oh, we're going to see if he could be a point guard. So we're going to let him run it, even though he wasn't a point guard in the NBA. And you're like, oh, we didn't see that. The only thing we saw that we knew is they were going to let Clingan do whatever the hell he wanted to do on defense. Like, just go get it. They were not worried about a system. They in the sense that they wanted to see him go, and he did.
Okay. All right, moving on to our next guy, Justin Minaya. Now, Minaya got signed to a two-way contract. He's 25, so he's definitely up there in age in terms of the development process, right? And he hasn't broken in necessarily with the NBA team very much. He played 34 games, but a lot of that came when they were tanking. But he lit it up, man. He shot 57.1% from the field while averaging 8.5 points per game. And he hit on 46.7% of three-point shots, which to me, I'm like, come on, Jonah, the coach, you got to feed this guy, right? If you cared about winning. Now on defense, he had 1.8 steals and almost a block shot in 20 minutes per game. He played well. I give him a straight up A-. But the problem is, he's probably never going to be in the rotation. Right?
So he might be this year.
Well, well, no, not, there's too many. Well,
he was in the rotation last year. No one expected that.
He was never in the, end of the year. You mean after they start tanking? I'm talking about in the true rotation. I'm talking about when the team's trying to win their true rotation, is he ever going to be in that? And I would say probably not.
No, because he's going to be 28. If you're talking about when they're good and unless he changes completely, he's 25 years old. He played like a guy who's 25, who's got a taste in the NBA like he should in Summer League. His shooting was great because he did not shoot well in the NBA. He did not shoot threes and he made them. So that's the thing. That is what changes a player, to make it in a rotation at 25 years old, like that has been on the fringe, is something new and something different. And if he could suddenly shoot threes, then he'll play in the NBA more. But, Justin Minaya played well for Summer League, and they have way too many players ahead of him in the sense that they need to do, better at 6'6". You know what I mean? Like he's
right.
They got a ton of these guys. Like you're not playing for you watch. When you're already looking at now, obviously there's going to be movement, but if your position is the 2/3, they got your Sharp is going to be in there. So remember, there were a lot of minutes this year because Sharp didn't play for so long. I mean, he should be playing 30 to 35 minutes a game, when they're good. And
right.
So there won't be a lot of minutes at that position, and they certainly don't hope that Justin Minaya is the guy filling in, I mean, no disrespect. He's obviously an elite basketball player for the world, but not for the NBA.
Right. Yeah. Billups has praised his defense and his work ethic and tenacity. And I think that's one of the reasons why you keep him around, because he is someone who's going to work hard. He's going to work hard in practice. And he's a great fit at the G League level. But yeah, I mean, does he have a future in the NBA? It's tough to say. Does he have a future with the Blazers? I mean, who knows? We'll see. He could be a Cinderella story, right? But at the very least, he went to the Summer League and played like a 25-year-old with some NBA experience, I think should.
Yeah, the guy obviously works hard, plays hard. I mean, undrafted free agent that has, gotten himself 2 seasons. I mean, he played not much in 22-23, but he got into the NBA. And then last year he played 34 games in the NBA. I mean, this is a kid who went to Providence that was undrafted, and he's 6'6". The competition is so deep for him to get this far. Obviously, I mean, when I'm saying stuff about him not being a rotation player, that's not disrespecting how good the guy is. Obviously, he better be able to play defense. You know what I mean? Like, because of who he is. Like, he came out as an undrafted, player that obviously is not not a shooter. So getting on the court is because you're playing hard and you're playing defense. So, and it is, like you said, it's why he's on the roster and why he's back for the third year. I mean, you talked about guys getting moved off at this level. When they keep bringing you back, when you're at this level, they like you, right? They like what you bring every day. They like your work ethic. They like you as a teammate. There's not a lot of fringe guys that chill undrafted that get 3 straight years with the same team. Now, that's not usually how the NBA works. These guys are all over the map. I mean, you could see that with the other, 2 ways. And the leading scorers for the Blazers in Summer League both played for other teams last year because they're fringe and they get moved. So it says a lot that Minaya is still with the Blazers.
Very true. All right. Bryce McGowens, 21 years old, has played 105 NBA games, and dude came out firing. He averaged 16 points per game and 20 minutes per game, led the team in scoring. However, shot just 39% from the field and 28.6% from three-point range. Didn't do much else, 1.8 rebounds and 1.3 assists per game. He was just a gunner for hire. He was letting the shots fly, not great efficiency. Had a couple decent games, though. Got to the free throw line sometimes. But, to me, a C. He's a young guy like Rupert, 21, going on 22. He's been in the league a little bit. He definitely has some pop to him, some sparkle, some offensive. He has a bag, so to speak. Just not very efficient, which is why after 2 seasons, he's back in the Summer League. Signed to a 2-way deal, so he's going to be around. I think he'll obviously be a good addition to the Summer League, the G League. Remix. And be at the end of the bench for the Blazers. So, it is what it is. I give the guy a C just because he does flash talent, but his efficiency was awful, and it should be better in the Summer League after playing 105 NBA games.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say C+, B- just because he looked talented, in Summer League. You could see there was something different about him. He just missed a lot of shots that but he wasn't afraid to take them, and he wasn't afraid to be aggressive. And to me, that's where you fall in line with a guy like this. And again, we have no idea what what the game plan was or how other guys were playing around him to set him up. But yeah, he's a 2-way player. The guy's an NBA, player in the sense that he's on the fringe, and that's what he's going to be for the Blazers. But if anyone's looking at him being an impact player, that'd be a huge surprise because every team in the NBA didn't think so. He got signed to a 2-way.
Agreed, man. So we look at these players, these 5 players, and we really walk away only encouraged by Clingan. There was no one else. Was there anyone else on the roster that jumped out to you that you're like, oh my God?
No, I mean, again, Rupert's 20.
Just I was want to make sure.
Yeah, 20. So I'm glad he got to play. You know what I mean? Like, it's good. The more he plays, the better. But other than Clingan, I don't think anyone gets a high grade. But
Kennedy Chandler, what about him?
Yeah, another fringe guy in the NBA. Like, he's a point guard who's played in NBA games. Summer League is made for point guards with bags. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's made for. 100%. I mean, it's why Jared Bayless was an MVP. It's why Nate Robinson, is in the Summer League Hall of Fame because they got the ball in their hands and they're going against guys that aren't looking to guard. And it's just like anyone who's watched. I mean, both you and I have watched a lot of basketball that isn't televised. And when you go watch summer basketball, I work summer camps at the University of Rhode Island where all of New England would come down and play. You play night games with Division I talent and NBA talent. Like, the guards, they rule because they have the ball. Like, you have a big guy who plays in the NBA. He might not star because he can't get the ball, So right. I'm all for, he played well, but look, in the end, the most important thing was his passing grade, was a good grade. And that's the number 7 overall pick. to me, there's two stories that matter to me. Like, if you're going to ask me, what are the two stories? One, Clingan looks solid. Defensively, he's going to be something. There's potential there at number 7. And Kris Murray didn't look good. And that's disappointing. Right. Those are the two things I take away. Everything else is fringe, and I have no idea. I don't know if Rupert is going to end up being anything. I doubt Minaya. Rupert is the only player on that roster that still has potential to be, some kind of an impact player on the franchise.
Right. Okay. I think we've exhausted Summer League. Good job, Craig.
Thanks.
Quality.
We did it.
30
we scouted
minutes of
it.
Summer League breakdown. All right, real quick. Do you expect a major trade between now and training camp? Jeremy, Anthony, Ayton. It's all been quiet lately.
How about before the regular season starts? Because let's not forget training camp. It opened when Dame got traded, right? It was open.
A couple days later. He got traded 2 days before.
2 days before? Is that right? It was right there.
Yeah.
I think there should. I think they should, but you've got to move these contracts for something. It doesn't make sense. To me, it's all about the pressure Ant and Grant decide to put on the franchise. I think the Blazers are pretty lucky that both those guys have not said anything about wanting to be traded.
Right. Publicly.
Because I don't know why they wouldn't. Why would you want to stay on this roster if you're Grant or Ant? They've made it clear. They're not lying. Joe Cronin's not lying. He's saying we're not there yet. We're not trying to win. Everyone knows, you can't go anywhere and not read that the Blazers are going to be in play for flag, right? So you're looking at another 20-something win season. Why Grant, who's on the backside, right, of his prime probably, and Ant, who's entering, this is where he needs to go. Why do you want to play your third straight year winning 20-something games? It's beyond me.
Right. So my soft prediction is that they're not going to get anything done this summer. And that they're going to look to trade at least one by the break. Hoping that teams will emerge that are in contention that just need some more firepower that Ant or Grant could bring you. And then they're willing to give up more, including a pick in this year's draft, which even, allegedly, if it's in the high teens or early 20s, it's still going to be a pretty solid pick. Allegedly, right? Who knows? So that's my soft prediction. They're not gonna be in a rush necessarily, and they can control how they use these guys to still manipulate losing while having them on the roster.
The issue though that's new is that second apron. If you're a team with a second apron, you can't trade your first round draft pick, and I haven't done a deep dive and see how many teams are there, but that's huge. That's huge. People talk about contracts and, guys taking less money to keep their team off the second apron so that they can make moves. And, it used to be the big thing is, they've already traded their first round pick. You can't do it 3 years in a row or whatever it was, or, you could draft your other, but, now you're locked in not by the moves that because you've been too aggressive with your picks, but because you don't have because your salary is over the second apron. So it's harder and harder to get picks in the NBA now with the new CBA. So that'll be interesting.
So based on this is last year, there were 6 teams over the second apron going into last year. And they're all pretty, you're talking about Boston, Denver, Golden State, although they just lost Clay, Clippers, They just lost Paul George. Bucks, clearly expensive. Suns, clearly expensive. And it looks like
I'm just saying, like, it does eliminate. I mean, if it were to eliminate 6 teams, you know that there's 15 probably teams that are going to be willing, that are going to. Ant's a little different, right? Because Ant's still young enough to go to a team on the rise. Grant's not. So, you know, and the teams that are going to want to get Grant are teams that are going to be going for a championship, right? And they're going to be ones that are, the salary is going to be high. So it'll be interesting to see how many teams are even eligible to move off of that. And as you said, in good drafts, people don't want to move off their picks. So it's not, I mean, we saw what happened with Brogdon, like that. I can't imagine that's what they thought they were going to have to do to get, they didn't bring him in to trade 2 firsts to get a forward, right? Like, you know, that couldn't have been, if that was the part of it, that's crazy, right? Like, I mean, we're, you know, I'd said all along, and, you know, this isn't a podcast of, I told you so, that you wait on Brogdon, he loses value. And everyone's like, oh, no, he's still going to get you a first-round draft pick. No, you traded 2 first-round draft picks and Brogdon.
And him to get Denny. But, yeah, but the value is in the contract, right?
But what I'm
whenever
just saying,
I hear that, no, I'm just saying, whenever I hear that, right, he's got such a good contract. What are we talking about?
Right, good contracts are
When was the last time a team won a championship with good contracts?
Well, fantasy.
Are we playing cappy cap games, or are we playing NBA basketball games?
No, it's helpful in fantasy. You know, when you play fantasy sports, to have a guy in a low contract, because you can just go get anyone else, right? But no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, that wasn't getting Brogdon. When they got him, no one was like, oh yeah, they're going to flip him with 2 first-round draft picks to get a decent potential small forward. Not even a guy who's a lock to be there. I mean, is it better than Brogdon to have Denny? Yes. But you gave up 2 first-round draft picks with it. Like, there's no way that was – everyone thought that Brogdon was going to get you a first-round draft pick, if not 2, if not a first-round draft pick and a player. You didn't think you were going to have to give picks up to get it and, you know, and bring back second-rounders. So that's the thing with me is, like, I just don't – I don't know. And how many picks do you – obviously, you want picks next year, top flight players, but at some point, and we can argue where they are in the process, there's no doubt they're going into year 3. You know, really. I mean, come on. Like, and some of these got to play, like, be a standout. And hopefully, you know, that happens this year.
In your defense, in the defense of the Blazers, and I totally agree with you on, I'm going to do an article on sort of where the whole the Dame trade stuff sits right now after the things they've done when this offseason is complete. But yeah, 100%. Like, Brogdon was supposed to bring you something back, not Brogdon and 2 first-round picks, bring you Denny. That said, the 14th pick in this bad draft was like a pick at 24. And the other picks in 2029, and it's a Boston pick, which Jaylen Brown and Tatum, unless one gets injured, they're still going to be really good. So the picks themselves were not necessarily that great. You had it with Brogdon, and you got a young forward who just had his best season on a good contract. So that's where there is some value. But at the end of the day, I agree with you, because they made a big deal out of getting those picks. Remember, they didn't want Miami picks, but they'll take Boston picks, and they'll take that Warriors pick. But the Warriors pick was lame because it was in one of the worst drafts ever, so it wasn't that valuable. And so at the end of the day, you end up with Denny, who is going to be, he fits right in, right? He can slide right in at the 4, put Grant at the 3, or play Denny at the 3, and you go get another power forward after you trade Grant or whatever. So he fits, but what does he fit into? He fits in a team that's going to try to lose. And is he ever going to be an impact player to help you win? I don't know. Or is he just going to be a good contract you're going to try and move at some point? So we'll see. But yeah, it's
I'm just saying, go. Like, great. Waiting is, I just don't know if it helps or not. I mean, that's their job, is to do the right thing. And in this instance, I don't think they did. It's not like they didn't know what picks they were getting. So they knew this draft wasn't that great. It's not like they did this 5 years ago, you know, So it's not like, oh crap, we didn't know this draft was that good. Yeah, you did. I mean, you're talking about all your draft experts and all these things. So you knew that the pick you were getting was what it was and the value was going to be where it was. So
Right.
I just don't know. If you're going to try to be bad, starting Grant and Ant makes you better. So like it doesn't fit, right? It makes sense to go for Flag. All you hear is all this awesome stuff about him, and the Olympic, players say he was amazing. So it stinks to have another season if you're a Blazer fan where the goal is to lose. But if it gets you Flag, then job well done. Having Grant and having Ant will make you less likely. And of course, we know the percentages are what they are, but I don't know. It's you go or all in or not, in my opinion. Like, and having a 30-something-year-old forward who I don't know what he's looked upon like right now in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, he's 2 years removed from being the guy that people thought was a difference maker. And he's had injuries now. How real? I don't know. But 2 years older when you haven't had, spectacular years. We talk about his rebounding. We're not the only ones, right? Others look there too and say, oh, he doesn't rebound. So I don't know. But I would go get what you could get, because to me, accelerating the process to get closer to Flag makes sense.
Agreed. Okay, so one quick thing before we sign off. Sudan took the USA team, which is playing right now as we record this podcast against Germany, took them to the limit, 101-100 win. Red flag or eh?
I say because these teams, it always happens. It doesn't matter. There's only one goal: win the gold. Like, that's it. When you're the USA, you're the best team in the world. You have the best talent. You have to win the gold. Whether you lose to Sudan in an exhibition or not, it's not great. But they didn't. They did win. And in the end, if they lose in the gold medal game, that loss will mean a lot, and it'll be against a really good team. But you should win. I think it's good, to be honest. I think it's good for these players to be reminded, like, oh, like there's other teams play hard and they've got talent. And because of what's happened since the Dream Team and beyond, is there's talent all across the world. And if you don't play really well, you're going to lose. And if the USA men don't play really, really well, it's been proven time and time again now that they will lose. I mean, LeBron James has a bronze. I mean, that's crazy. He got a bronze. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people talk about Michael Jordan, like, and LeBron, like, that's the one I'd like to bring up. I'm like, Michael doesn't have a bronze. Like, they dominated, but it's a different time. I'm just saying that in a way I'm glad, because it's a kick in the, hopefully, a little bit of a kick and a reminder, and they didn't lose.
I think it's a huge red flag. I'm not saying it means they're going to lose necessarily. I agree with you that it should have woken them up. But come on, man. So the 101 number means clearly they played well offensively. That's a lot of points. You're right, period. The 100 given up is embarrassing. That means you're not hustling. You're not playing hard. You're not playing defense. Yep. You're just not getting it done. And there's LeBron no excuse for that.
LeBron's the one who brought him back by playing defense.
Yeah. So that's what's alarming to me. Where's your defense? And so your defense is going to be suspect. You're going to get lit up one night. One night, someone's going to get hot. You're not going to be. It's just a law of averages with basketball. And you're going to lose. And it's going to be embarrassing if it happens. So hopefully, like you said, this woke them up. But to me, come on. Really? They were favored by 43. You let them cover by 42. Not good. Yep. All right. Anything else we got to cover?
Nope.
USA women's team lost to the WNBA All-Stars. That was kind of weak. But Caitlin Clark's diamond. Listen, I love her passing game. I love point guards who can dish, and she makes some sweet passes. And she didn't shoot well in that game, but her 10 assists were huge, and they took it to them. And so, it doesn't mean anything, because someone made a comment the other day, the WNBA All-Star team is probably the second best team, or the better than every other team in the world, next to the USA team, who I think the USA team would win in the series, but that night they lost, but no huge deal.
Well, I text you about that, Caitlin Clark playing like magic, because I knew that's like a trigger for you, but you couldn't deny it.
Did you send me that?
I sent it to you today.
No, listen, Magic's my favorite player of all time because of his passing. And Caitlin Clark, that's the first thing that impressed me about her in college was the way she sees the court. And in preseason, when she was struggling offensively, even early season, she was still making some dimes. Like, there's no doubt about that. And so I definitely appreciate her passing game. And her shooting's come along as well. She's playing much better. She's awesome. The first month of the season. Yeah. But I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to get into the whole rookie of the year thing. I think Caitlin's rookie of the year. All right. Is that it?
Yeah, that's all we got until something happens.
I know. What are we going to talk about next? We need a trade.
We'll just call each other. We'll just call each other.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Blazer Focus podcast. We will catch you as soon as something happens in the world of the Blazers.